Welcome back, Classic Fam. I wasn't expecting to see you guys today so soon, but I did allude to this earlier because they did say that they were dropping, Ragnarok Classic said they were dropping a huge patch today, right before the launch of the game officially, and we're going to review what those changes are and how they affect the tier list as a whole. Now, this is the tier list. This is what you see right now is the tier list that was done yesterday. Right, but after some of the changes today, there are some movements with some of these job classes and how they do. So let's start from the top, right? We're gonna just this is what it was yesterday, and we're gonna have a look at what it is going to be today. Now, first things first, on top of the patch notes, we are going to be seeing High Wizards. High Wizards gravitational field was buffed for PvE. PvP wise, it was a slight nerf to Stone Curse as well as Earth Spike. Overall, not much changes in their positioning there for the High Wizard. It's still going to be viable in PvP and PvE. Probably better in PvE with a little bit more damage for gravitational field, but overall it's not much of a big change for them. Next up is going to be the Professor buff. Once again, PvE scenario only. The damage multiplier for Firebolt, Cold and Lightning Bolt has been buffed a little bit more. Again, not a big buff to it. The PvP, it still remains pretty much the same over there in Tier B. And I don't expect it to be very popular as well. It did make the early game a little bit more viable, especially for free-to-play players with the tablet refinement change. The Psychic Wave GCD has been dropped down to +12, but overall still not a big change for the class itself. Next up probably is one of the biggest changes for the High Priest class. Now, previously in the previous tier list, we were only talking about full support priests, but after this change with Magnus Exorcimus, reducing the variable cast time for Magnus Exorcimus in PvP scenarios to 2.5 seconds, fixed cast time to 1 second, playing a DPS priest or even a secondary, crowd control priest is a lot more viable now. So I'm going to put this DPS priest somewhere here in the tier list. So taking that into account, a DPS priest can do pretty decent damage, and with the long duration of Magnus Exorcimus lasting in a field, there is a lot of crowd control potential that it can do. So I'm going to put this at a low tier A for the DPS priest. The cooldown is still a little bit long, but at least it is viable now to be played as a DPS if you're playing as a High Priest. Other changes for the High Priest include Leap of Faith buff. There's going to be Impositio Magnus buff as well, providing a little bit more stats. But Kyrie Ellison Resurrection has been nerfed hugely. It's now a 6.5 second cooldown, which is going to make it a pretty long cooldown. Sanctuary as well, duration, a cooldown nerf to Sanctuary. But it is still pretty much a very important class. It won't drop that much in tiering, because if you think about full support classes, there's literally only 3 right now, which is the High Priest, the Bard, or the Dancer. So overall, the tiering of the High Priest does not change for the full support one. Next up, a huge buff for champions. The Finger Offensive has been pretty hugely buffed, I would say. 40% improvement on the fixed cast time, as well as the variable cast time, and a 0.5 second global cooldown reduction. So for me, that puts the Finger Offensive champion up in tier A. I would go as far as say it is better than snipers, and on par with Katarsin next. So it is going to be a very viable class to be played in PvE and PvP as well, because this change not just only buffs its PvP prowess, but also for PvE as well. Increasing the damage overall is just going to be huge. Body relocation buff as well as Tranquility, slight nerf to it, but it's not a huge deal. It's definitely going to be a very good class to be played right now. Next up is going to be the #1 class in RRO Classic. It's going to be the Biochemist. Overall, nothing major. A small buff to Lab Accident, which is your movement skill, and magic attack added to one of your weapons. But overall, that does not affect it very much. A couple more changes for the Biochemist also includes just description changes. but it's not going to move the king of RO Classic anywhere in this tier list. So it remains up here in tier S. Next up is going to be Mastersmith changes. Front slide movement distance increased, cooldown of it reduced, as well as a higher damage multiplier for X Boomerang, but overall not gonna make it one of the better classes. It's still there in the yikes tier, unfortunately. Next up, another big change here for summoners as well. Bite, Scratch, and Hide. Your early game skills has been buffed quite a lot. That allows both the Summon Doram as well as the Magic Doram to have better early game. This was one of the reasons why, you know, Magic Doram and the Physical Doram wasn't really good in the early stages of the game, just because of how hard it is to deal damage. But with this buff to it, it is a lot more forgiving. It is a lot more fun to play it in the early stages of the game, so that definitely improves the performance of both the summon and as well as the Magic Doram. The next biggest change is actually in Catnip Meteor and Silvervine Stem Spear. Catnip Meteor damage multiplier increased to a 900% increase. That's a pretty good increment to the damage output for the Magic Doram. And another huge one, which is the Silvervine Stem Spear. The global cooldown is now 0.5 seconds. So that, for me, puts Magic Doram up to B tier. It improves it by quite a significant amount for me. That, you know, it is now a very viable class. And now that the damage is not horrendous, there's a lot of avenues you can play the class. I think the Magic Doram definitely is in a usable tier right now. Next up is going to be the Minstrel and Gypsy buffs, well, some buffs and some nerfs. Curtain Call, which is your movement skill, has been buffed for more distance, but then the heals, Song of Ludi and Gypsy's Kiss, has been nerfed by quite a bit. If you're healing a single party member, it goes down from 200% to 150%, and when there are more members within range of your heal, now the heal is dropped down to 120%. Now, we're talking about Bard and Dancer, how their heals are not very scalable late game because of the multipliers. Now, the multipliers have been even nerfed even more. So I'm going to drop down, unfortunately, Bard and Dancer both to tier A. The heals have been very significantly hurt towards the mid-game stages of the game, and while they still provide pretty good buffs, they are, for me, they are not a must-have anymore, just because of the amount of heals that have been reduced. I would even say that 2 priests might be better if you don't need any of the buffs that both the Bard and or the Dancer provide. But yes, they are still a good class. Unfortunately, they are not a must-have anymore for me. Next up is going to be some Assassin Cross changes, nothing huge, nothing that's going to shake it from where it is currently at. Sonic Blow range improvement from Divine Armament builds, nothing huge. Rangers unfortunately got a nerf. Windwalker, which is one of their one of the 2 most important utility skills for that class, has been nerfed to only affecting your party members, which is going to drop, for me, is going to drop them down to a B tier, considering that, you know, their PvE and PvP are still decent but not the best, but their team fight potential, especially in a small scale fight, they have been nerfed quite a bit. They have been dropped down in their potential, and large scale as well. You can't just run one sniper anymore. If you want the move speed buffs, you need to kind of have every party using a sniper. The move speed buff for Windwalk is still great, but unfortunately it's not as good as it was before. So still usable, still a good class, but for tier A's, there's definitely much more better classes. Right, next up is going to be a huge spear change, a Lord Knight spear change, which is going to affect, well, both the sword and spear, but more on towards the spear. Now, the spear Clashing Spiral global cooldown has been nerfed to 1 second. That means you can only cast Clashing Spiral once every second, and that is a huge difference maker, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to affect quite a bit for the Lord Knight Spear. Hit Crush as well as Joint Beat has been nerfed as well, giving it a 1 second cooldown. That also affects the sword and spear, both of them, especially if it procs from some auto cast. So they are both going to drop down a little bit in terms of their tiers. Spear is going to drop all the way down probably somewhere over here. Sword's gonna be probably on par with Paladin right now. And that is how I foresee things will change. It's not gonna be Lord Knight meta anymore, ladies and gentlemen. It is gonna be a tough situation for them. And Paladin slight nerf towards them. In Devotion 15-second cooldown, Cavalier Master does not stack with any other movement boost effects, so they're not going to be moving as fast, but it doesn't really take away anything from the Paladin, so overall their tiers do not change. Now this is after the latest patch notes that we are seeing right before the launch of the official game. So what do you guys think about this? What do you agree with the tier list that I've given? Do you if you have your own opinion, I'm very happy to hear yours. You can drop it in towards my RO Discord. It's gonna be in the description, or I will share the link as well, so you can make your own tier list, and we can compare how it sees from there. Anyways, guys, this is just gonna be a shorter video, just talking about the changes that came from between yesterday and today. So hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys at launch. Peace out.